Heat in four. Heat in four. Heat in four. Oh, it is. It is. Even Husam's excited.
Let's go, baby.
That was too easy yesterday. I mean, it's not supposed to be that easy. We are here. Oh, he's getting that broom out. It is a Monday episode, big Monday episode of Donno Daily here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I am Alex Donno. We got our guy Husam Patel, who's he's on an eternal business trip. And I don't even think this guy actually has a job. I just think he moved to Atlanta. He's living in a hotel, doesn't want anyone to know about it. So he says he's on a business trip. The Atlanta Hawks went on a little business trip to the FTX Arena yesterday, and they got absolutely shellacked by our Miami Heat. 115-91, and guys, wasn't even as close as the scoreboard would indicate, because midway through the first quarter, we were kicking our feet up. Midway through the third quarter, no harm, no foul, no pressure. That was just a relaxation fourth quarter for the Miami Heat. So on this episode, we're going to talk about what Miami did exceptionally well, what didn't go so well, but you have to reach for negatives here. Like when you're talking about a team that won by, God, Husam, can you do quick math for me? 115-91. How many points did the Heat win by yesterday? Is that 24?
I'm not good at math. Yes, 24. 24. Wow.
Margin of victory.
Yo, are you like secretly like smart or like just not stupid?
No, I'm definitely stupid.
How did you do quick maths like that to like immediately like 24?
I mean, it's relatively rudimentary subtraction. My father is a statistician. Like he can do long division like no problem in his head. Like he knows how to carry ones without even writing them down on paper or using a calculator. So compared to him, I'm incredibly stupid. But a 24-point margin of victory. The game wasn't even that close. We are going to be joined in about 13 minutes by the boy wonder himself, Brady Hawk, hardest working man at the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I was listening to Brady, Ethan Skolnick, Alex Toledo doing their post-game 5 on the floor last night, which was excellent. Look, I'm so enthused about that victory. I had to go no sleeves today. I had to bust out. This is the only Miami Heat jersey that I own. Somewhere I've got a circa like 1997 Alonzo Morning Heat jersey, but I can't find it. It's in a box full of mothballs somewhere. It wouldn't fit me now anyways, because again, that was from...
So is that a Reebok jersey? Oh my God.
This is, yeah. So who I don't even know who makes the NBA jerseys now. Obviously not Reebok. Adidas? Nike? Okay, yeah. So
this is for the Canes, man. Come on.
Well, listen, that's why I love me some Adidas. No, but this is a 2005 vintage Shaquille O'Neal, or maybe 2004, I think. Was that his first? Yeah, so it was probably because I got this jersey right after the Heat traded for Shaq. I was so excited. Like a lot of you bought the Tua Tagovailoa jerseys like 3 seconds after he was drafted. I know some people who bought Tua jerseys before he even got drafted, but like, yeah, no, when Shaquille O'Neal was acquired by the Miami Heat back in 2004, I ran to NBA.com. And yes, they did have
websites back then.
I knew you were going to say that. They did have websites back then. And I bought this old Shaquille O'Neal jersey. Oh, man. So, listen, Marcus is trying to get us to calm down a little bit. He says, everyone calm down. Still got work to do. 15 more wins, bros. 1 down, 15 to go. I want to remind you folks a couple of things here. You're watching us live, 2:04 p.m., Monday, the 18th of April, year of our Lord, 2022. Whether you're watching us live or you watch us later on via replay, don't matter. Smash the like button. Smash that like button and make sure you subscribe to 5 Reasons Sports YouTube. And guys, if you're interested in any Miami Heat related content all throughout this playoff run, you got to make sure you subscribe to 5 Reasons YouTube, because this is like the only channel that's actually giving you Miami Heat talk. I'm watching ESPN this morning. Husam, ESPN, they found a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. They're finding a way to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers, even though the LA Lakers didn't even make the playoffs or the play-in. Right now, the little time that they actually devoted to non-Lakers talk when they're talking about playoff series, they were talking exclusively
about the Nets and the Celtics.
Boston.
Yep.
which was a fantastic game. That series is going to be awesome. And I want those teams to and I want that side of the bracket, because Milwaukee's on that side of the bracket as well. I just want those teams to beat each other up little by little, beat each other up, and then by the time the Miami Heat cruise into the Eastern Conference Finals and face one of those teams, I hope that they are beaten down to hell by the time the Heat face one of those teams. So yeah, obviously Brooklyn-Boston is an awesome series, but you think like they would devote a little time on national television, talk about the number 1 seed, proving their worth, talking about the number 8 seed that I heard some of you cowards out there, not necessarily the ones in my audience, because I think in my audience it's a pretty pro Miami Heat crowd, but some of the cowards out there who are like, gosh, I don't know, Donno. I don't know. Trey Young might go off for 40, 45 points.
I saw a tweet that said it's going to be cold in Miami with Trey Young doing his ice pose. Well, it was cold in Miami. For Trey Young, 1 for 12. He made one more free throw attempt than I did yesterday.
Trey didn't hit a single Trey all game long. You mentioned 1 for 12 for Trey Young. From beyond the arc, 0 for 7 on the day. All he had really in the game was an early layup, a couple crossover dribbles. That was all she wrote. -22 in the plus-minus on the day. So that's one of the big things when Brady Hawk hops aboard in about 9 minutes. Can the Heat sustain that? Now, the short answer is not exactly, okay? Because yesterday was a combination, I think, of factors that worked in Miami's favor, some of which are very much in Miami's control and they can continue. Other things like Atlanta basically having a day and a half of rest coming into this game with Miami. They had to play Friday night. The Heat had been off for a full week. And I had asked the question this past Friday, rest versus rust. I thought just maybe with Miami haven't had played any basketball in a full week, maybe they'll get off to a kind of a slow start. Actually, both teams got off to a slow start because nobody could hit a bucket in the first quarter.
But it was fun. It was fun.
It was all defense in that first quarter from both sides and missed shots. Miami was especially cold to start that game.
You know what my friends were telling me? They said that it's Miami Heat basketball is boring in the sense that all they do is play good defense. Doesn't defense win championships? Yeah. Didn't Ethan say last week there has not been a championship or finals winner that has not rated top 10 in defensive efficiency?
Wow.
And I'm pretty sure Brady knows what rank the Miami Heat rank in defensive efficiency. So that's something I want to ask him. But on the follow-up, I'm like, they're playing good defense. What's not to like about it? And they go, mind you this, they play basketball that gets no hose. Basically, they're not high scoring. They're not a high scoring type of team that's electric like the Nets or the Warriors or the Bucks. Do people not know the Miami Heat basketball brand? Like, are we just like a small scale type of team? Like, come on, people.
It's a team nobody talks about.
It's a team nobody talks about. But hey, here at the 5 Reasons Sports Network, we talk about it. And if you like Miami Heat talk, make sure you guys like and subscribe to the 5 Reasons Sports Network and the Donno Daily Show.
And leave us some super chat
so
money.
More people can see. Yes, money. Everybody loves money.
If you want to, you don't have to. The live chat is always open. The live chat is free, but if you want to throw us something in the tip jar, we welcome that as well. All right, so I want to finish my point about Trey Young because I don't want to get caught up in the air and have Welch thinking that I'm making excuses for the guy. So, no, okay. The primary factor of why Trey Young went 1 for 12 and looked virtually invisible in game one, it wasn't all because Atlanta didn't have much rest. I was just curious about that coming in because I thought maybe Atlanta would be the team with a little bit more adrenaline and they would start fast and the Heat would find a while to find their legs because they hadn't played in a week. The whole rest versus rust thing didn't really play out that way because Miami was firmly in control early on in the game. I got to give credit to the Miami Heat for their defense. The way you were getting so much attention on Trey Young from the likes of Jimmy Butler and PJ Tucker. Playoff PJ is unstoppable. I like playoff Kyle Lowry as well. And
playoff P.
Championship P and championship Kyle Lowry, because these guys have championship experience. That's why Pat Riley made sure to add these guys this offseason. Lowry wins the chip a few years ago in Toronto. PJ Tucker, part of a championship-winning Milwaukee team last year. The experience these guys are adding and the defense that these guys are adding is awesome. So Miami was relentless. And the word of the day is space, because they weren't giving Trey Young space to operate. And that sort of defensive attention is absolutely sustainable, because unfortunately for Atlanta, they got some other people who could score. Although Mr. Bogdanovich had a pretty rough night with 6 points. He shot 0 for 8. Trey Young shot 1 for 12.
What was Herder's stat line at the end of the night?
Herder had 8 points, 3 for 8 from the floor, 2 for 6 from 3. And, I was going to give you his plus minus, but most of the plus minuses for Atlanta players were in the toilet because they got their doors blown off yesterday. So I think the sort of defense that the Heat were playing on Trey Young is sustainable. They're going to make his life very difficult for the next 3 games, maybe the next 4 games, if we can even talk about it going that far. Now, what's not completely sustainable about it is no matter how hard you defend that guy, he's not going to shoot 1 for 12 every night.
Yeah.
I think at some point, Trey Young is going to go off and get hot.
I think I do expect him to come back better second and third game as well. But will it be enough to give them a win?
He could score 35 points and he could still win a game. Honestly. Like, even if he does go off, this is still a series that plays into the Heat hands. And I asked on Twitter before the show people to give me their favorite things from game 1 yesterday. There was obviously a lot to like from the way that Jimmy played, and we still got to get to Duncan Robinson. Oh my, I'm actually surprised I've allowed myself and Hussam to chatter on for almost 13 minutes, and we haven't even brought up old Dunk yet. Okay. Marcus says if boring means having multiple guys who can torch another starting lineup and still shut you down on defense, then I'll take boring all day. The Heat play hoops the right way. You know what? People used to talk about the prime San Antonio Spurs teams for being boring. I mean, if winning, how many did they win? 5 titles during that dynasty? Like if winning enough championships to fill an entire hand plus with championship rings, if that's boring, you'll take boring. Thank you so much for the super chat. Our guy Shake Money. He says, I hope that jersey brings the Heat more luck than the ugly cane hats did the Hurricanes during March Madness. I mean, okay. And I don't know if you remember this.
He makes a very fair point, though, Donno. He does. At the end of the day, Shake Money makes a very, very good point.
I don't know if you remember. You probably do, Hussam, because I'm sure I had you on one of those episodes during March Madness where I was wearing the Canes hat every day to bring Miami good luck. But I got Shake
Money. Mushed them. You mushed them.
Did I, though? They got farther than they've ever gotten in the tournament.
But not far enough. But not far enough. Not far enough. Look, Donno, if you really want, and sidetracking from Heat basketball, or talking about Canes basketball, sidetracking from that, if you want Miami to be taken seriously as a sports school, whether it be in football, basketball, baseball, they're doing fantastic, man. They're doing fantastic so far. You need respect for football, and now you need respect for basketball. Yes, they've gotten farther than they were before, but it's not enough. It's not enough. They need to get to that dance.
I agree. I completely agree. So I got to get to this because it would be criminal for me to go this long and not talk about the guy who shot 8 for 9 from 3, scored 27 points yesterday.
In 8 different spots, too. Yeah,
that was the shot chart was incredible for Duncan Robinson. So, I was watching the entire game from start to finish. I just told my family, like, hey, I know you're talking about doing like egg hunts and stuff. I got Heat basketball to watch. I got more important things to do right now. So I'm planted on the couch for the entire 4 quarters yesterday. I didn't get on Twitter until a little bit later in the game. I think it was during the 3rd quarter. And this is my attitude, right? I have, and I'm not the only one. I've been critical of Duncan Robinson this season. The guy's making $90 million. More often than not, he's out there laying bricks. So when I logged into Twitter during the 3rd quarter for the first time all game, this was my attitude. I said, man, I hope that there are people in my mentions dragging me for criticizing Duncan. I hope I'm getting several "I told you so's" or "How dare you?" Oh, look at that, Duncan. Yeah, you want Miami runs on Duncan Robinson, or Dunkin' Donuts. So listen, I was hoping that there were people in my mentions dragging me for criticizing Duncan, and sure enough, I had a few of those in there. I had a few people telling me to eat my words, but like I said, if my criticism is what he needs to take his game to the next level and shoot 8 for 9 from 3 and lead the way with 27 points yesterday, I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep
do that. You
criticizing
should
him.
do that for Tua Tagovailoa as well. Maybe he'll go off one day, 30 for 35, 450 yards, 5 touchdown passes.
I've already criticized the guy enough. He should be MVP next year. If my criticism works that way, here we have him, Brady Hawk, the man, the myth, the legend. By the way, Brady, I listened today to you guys' episode 5 on the floor from last night at the arena. That was excellent stuff, sir. Welcome in, Brady, and I'm glad to see your attendance live for a home Heat playoff game. I need to get you on the road as well because you bring the team all the luck that they need. How are you?
Doing good. Appreciate having me back. Yeah, I don't know. I think you'd have to be the one to send me out there because I don't think I'm going on the road. I was definitely not going to Cleveland. I don't think anybody's going to Cleveland. So Atlanta may be a little more likely.
Well, Hussam's in Atlanta right now, so I feel like I need Hussam to send some transportation for you and just invite you up there later. I mean, obviously we need you in Miami for game 2 as well. But then once we get to game 3 and 4, we need Hussam to send a car for you or send a chopper for you to get you up there.
Ethan's got to take me and Brady to Atlanta just so we can cover the game. The 2 young hotshots here at the 5 Reasons Sports Network.
Why not,
right?
That is right. All right. And by the way, huge shout out. Let me pull this back up here. Devin Jordan, thank you so much for the super chat. Donno, the Heat got the best playoff bench with both Hero and Duncan, and not to mention Depot. If we ever even see Depot, we'll circle back to that because I want to talk about what we did see last night with Brady Hawk. And Brady, okay, let's talk about Duncan first because I just brought up Duncan. He made me look like a clown yesterday. Hopefully Duncan's just going to be a gamer this season. Not a very good overall regular season. Let's hope he can sustain this for the playoffs. So tell me about Duncan's day, and why I love having you on is you go deeper than just the shot. So I know that there was more to his performance than 8 of 9 from 3. What else did you like about what we got from Duncan yesterday?
Yeah, 8 of 9 from 3 is hard in itself. But when you look through the 8 threes that he had, none of them were even almost open. He had, for one, 2 guys basically guarding him, or one he's firing over the top. But I think that the more important part was that he mixed up his bag in a lot of ways, where we're used to seeing, okay, Bam and him, his minutes are going to be mirrored. He's going to see a bunch of handoffs. It's going to be, okay, can we get that one single defender on the perimeter off of him so he can fire? They basically, with the lineup change, they basically said, okay, Duncan's not going to be mirrored with Bam. He's going to see some minutes with him, but it's going to be with a bunch of different guys and combinations. And specifically, they've liked this kind of pairing with next to Jimmy and Tyler, because those are 2 guys that can get to the rim, draw too, and get him easier looks. I don't think that was exactly the case in this game because he didn't really have easy looks. But that was the part that kind of stood out to me, is that he was moving. He was kind of just being put in different spots. There was a specific play that happened in the second quarter that I mentioned after the game, where he, after 2 threes, he gave a pump fake on the right wing, drove, kicked it out to Jimmy. It swung to Kyle. Kyle hit the 3 timeout, and it was one of the bigger runs of the entire game. The importance of that is that when Duncan gets going early, and this could go the same for Max because Max can pretty much do the same thing. When they have a shooter of that caliber get going and they can get to the rim in that way off a pump fake and cause rotations, specifically against this Atlanta team, who once you put them in one single rotation, they're done because they have terrible defense overall, that they just can't recover from that. So having a big Duncan game, potentially having a big Duncan series, kind of really just changes things overall. But I do want to say, the reason I think that you harp on Duncan and a lot of people harp on Duncan is because there hasn't been a lot to complain about this season. That's the one thing I guess you could pick out of anything, is that Duncan Robinson hasn't had the year playing maybe up to his value of his contract. Because when you look across this roster, it's hard to pick out negative things from the season.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Let's talk about Strus as well, because he didn't have a big-time shooting night or scoring night. And then, you guys noted this on 5 on the floor, and I had the same reaction when I'm listening to Jimmy Butler talk post-game, because he was asked a question about Duncan, and he started to say something nice about Duncan, but then he Just, completely unsolicited transition to praising Strus for like how great Strus was despite not scoring a lot. What were your takeaways from Strus's night in the starting lineup, mind you?
Yeah, for one, it's his first playoff game. Like, that has to be shown. I think he played in
Yeah.
a couple minutes in that Bucks series last year, but it was 3 minutes of probably garbage time. This was his first real series that it was interesting to me just to see. He's going to need to get some of the rust off or just try to get in some type of playoff mode. But he's one of those guys that's pretty much unconscious where he doesn't think. Duncan's kind of an overthinker in a lot of ways where he thinks about stuff, and it kind of a game like this could be helpful. Strus doesn't really think in that way. So the thing that stood out to me was that Jimmy mentioned it, that the important thing was that he got over the hump of the poor shooting in a lot of ways, and he went and guarded on the other end. That was the thing. If you look back in the last time Miami played Atlanta in the regular season, Trae, we know the thing about hunting Tyler Hero. Yeah. Trae was getting Tyler Hero onto him and then calling for a screen to get Max Strus onto him because he was like, okay, I want to upgrade even further and get Max on me. Max was guarding yesterday, and he was guarding up, I think it was 3 of 12. Max Strus was guarding yesterday. He even had like a pretty impressive block. Being able to guard up in that way after having poor shooting is what makes a player in the Heat. Like, that's what makes him so intriguing. And I do think that wasn't coincidental that Jimmy slipped that in there. Like, that was something. For one, it's probably the first time I've heard him actually praise Max Strus because he's usually talking down on him in his praise.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit of a different way of going about it. But being asked about Duncan, giving one line about Duncan, and just pretty much going right into the Strus praise, I think there's just something there in terms of minutes and kind of just getting Strus in the starting lineup.
We're joined here by Brady Hawk, who does an awesome job on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, talking everything Miami Heat, and his Brady breakdowns are really quite incredible. So I think it was most everything went well from Miami. There were a couple of players who didn't get really that involved offensively, didn't need to, thank goodness. Yeah. But last thing, defensively, the work that Miami did on Trey Young, like I think that sort of defensive energy, I think is sustainable. Trey Young shooting 1 for 12 is probably not sustainable because I'm sure he's going to have better shooting performances. So do you expect the Heat to approach Young a different way, or are they going to have to make some adjustments throughout the series, you think?
I don't think we're going to see – I think they're generally going to keep it the same, but I don't see them ever keeping game to game the same. Like, they have to adjust because Atlanta has to adjust. Yeah. And I think if you think about it on the flip side, I mentioned this on 5 on the Floor last night, Trey Young wasn't getting to the rim. And when he did, he was getting smacked in the face or thrown to the floor, as these Atlanta people like to point out or saying about dirty Miami Heat or whatever was going on there.
Oh, my God, dude. I was like, this is playoff basketball. This is exactly what you do in the playoffs. Like, come on, like a love tap is suddenly a foul. You're going straight to the line on the side to put up a pass there. And then you have him and Jimmy in the beginning going at it. Like that, I think that's where the intensity really builds up. And you really start to see that Miami loves it. Like, when you saw that, you're like, oh, this is going to be a classic Miami Heat type of game where they're coming out early. They're showing their physicality early, and they're just going to start to dominate as the game goes on. Like, that is what I absolutely love to see.
Yeah, and I think it was more of schematically that they were going to show their physicality to not funnel them inside. Like, you have to choose between – I said this before the series. You have to choose between Trey Young, the passer, and Trey Young, the scorer. Those are two different beasts, and they're high-level players. Do you want to stay home on shooters and allow Trey Young to kind of just deal in the action with whoever's there? Or are you going to kind of dip down a little bit, cut off Trey, make sure he doesn't get to the rim, and let him make those skip passes to the corner? We saw a little bit of both, but the 1 of 12, 0 of 7 from 3, even the one of the 5 twos, they were some deep twos. Like, they were not comfortable floaters. They weren't comfortable deep twos. Like, they were just making like miserable, throwing different bodies on them. The PJ Bam dynamic of doing that type of switching thing they've done for a bunch of times this season. Jimmy Butler saw time on Kyle Lowry, saw the most time on him in terms of all the guys they threw at him. And Gabe Vincent, the move that I wasn't really expecting. I thought Caleb Martin, after we saw what he did against Trae this season, was going to be the move. They go with Gabe. It paid off. Like, Gabe fits well with smaller guards who he can kind of get into the grill of and go baseline to baseline with. We saw that right when he checked in, he took him up full court. Trae and him were kind of exchanging elbows immediately in the backcourt. Like, that's what you want from Gabe Vincent, especially when he's giving some stuff on the other side. That's what makes sense. But I think Bobby did a really good job, had a good game plan of kind of balancing blitzing and switching and just throwing different bodies at him. It's going to change. He's probably never going to have another 1 of 12 game this series, but even if he has a good game, it's not going to be easy. Like, it's going to be a difficult, tough shots that he's hitting, because the most open shot he had in that game yesterday was a certain step back where he kind of took Gabe Vincent down to the left on the left wing. He stepped all the way back, which was a nice move. He created a ton of separation. You can create all the separation in the world that you want if you're not going to hit the shot or take advantage. They stared at each other for about 10 seconds. He shot it. He missed it. The shots that he ends up making are going to be difficult ones, and they're not going to make his life easy this series.
And there was another instant where he just he dialed up 3 crossovers trying to shake PJ Tucker, and PJ was it was incredible. Like, he was with him every step of the way. They ended up calling a foul on PJ, which I thought was not the best call, but that just goes to show you the versatility and the options that Miami have defensively on Trey Young. It's just astounding, and it's why Brady, I totally think anyone who had any regular season doubts about somebody like Kyle Lowry, I don't know if anyone really had any PJ Tucker regular season doubts, but if anybody did, why they're adding these older guys, honestly, the defense and that championship experience, I think it's going to get this team a couple extra notches.
And speaking, oh, my bad. Go ahead, Brady.
No, you're good. I was just going to say, if you look at yesterday in terms of vets and young guys, you mentioned the two guys that a couple guys that didn't play well, Bam and Tyler, the two young guys that you kind of expected to take the reins offensively in that game. They didn't have to, because the veterans stepped up. PJ Tucker, I thought, played an extremely well game offensively, where they were just kind of being the release valve. Two guys fly to another guy. He's catching it, getting to the floater, hitting. He hit 3 corner threes in the first 6 minutes of the third quarter in the same exact spot. That is PJ Tucker. Jimmy and Kyle, I felt controlled that game completely from start to finish. And that's the difference maker. We could talk about Kyle Lowry, maybe the cliche way of saying leadership and point guard and passing that we kind of throw out there all season. He had his fingerprints on that entire game. When we compare, because we're obviously going to make a comparison to that bubble team, and Jimmy the other day basically shot that down and said they're kind of completely different. It's intriguing because, first of all, this team has way more defensive kind of guys to throw at guys like Trey Young. And they did not Goran Dragic was great in that series, but he was not the defensive point guard leader. He was a lethal scorer in that run that I think right now at this point in time, with the way Tyler can be that scorer, they need this version of Kyle Lowry, and I think he showed that.
And I do think that with Tyler playing more so in the playoffs last year and the year before, it really helped him to develop into the player he is. He has more confidence. He's able to get into his bag of tricks, pull off those moves, can be much better on the defensive side as the ball, as one. Speaking about the defensive side, and Ethan touched upon it in last week's show, there hasn't been any teams, championship caliber teams, that have been outside the top 10 in defensive net efficiency. Now, Brady, where do the Heat lie in defensive net efficiency?
I think they're 5. I remember the last 7. I know defensive rating, they're 4, and they've been around top 5 all year. So they've been up there. The interesting thing is when you look at those stats as well is that Atlanta was number 2 in offensive side of things all year. And we saw what happened yesterday. So things can flip in playoff time when you have a 7-game series to plan it out. But when you're talking about one lethal weapon on Atlanta's offense and about probably 7 lethal defensive weapons on Miami's side, it's just more sustainable. So that top 5, I think it means a lot kind of heading into this. And I think it's more, we could talk about individual guys specifically for this defense, but Eric Spoelstra deserves a lot of credit that I don't think is being talked about enough, I guess, for that game 1.
Well, and talk about that a little bit more, Brady. And again, I don't think the Heat are getting enough credit, period, because when I watch ESPN this morning, of course, and listen, it was a fantastic game yesterday, so I can't criticize too much, but they're only talking about Celtics, Nets, and they still find a way to bring the Lakers into the conversation somehow. The Miami Heat get a 9-second highlight montage from the Heat game, and then they're on to the next thing. But talk to me a little bit more about Spo and the challenges that he's going to have for the rest of this series.
I think the biggest challenge for him, and it's hard to say that because they say it's one of the easy, good problems to have, but the rotation. I think right now it's going to stick the same until maybe Gabe Vincent has a 2-game stretch where he kind of struggles. But right now you can't flip things. Maybe you could say, okay, you want to throw Caleb in as a weapon if Atlanta bounces back. But I think they have their 9 at this moment that it's hard to say these 3 guys, everybody wants to see Oladipo. Markieff Morris is still a situational player, and now Caleb Martin. we were seeing it at the game yesterday. Those three guys are rotation players on most teams left in the mix right now. Like they simply are. But Spo deserves credit. I think all the defensive stuff I was mentioning before, I think is all him. Just kind of the changing coverages. There were times where Trae Young, even through his struggles, would get Bam Bam would switch onto him. He'd clear out all the way into that deep corner and say, "Okay, play 4-on-4 because I'm gonna pull Bam all the way away from the play because that's how good he is." And I guess he's not good enough to make top 3 defensive player of the year, but that's another story. But I think Spo just did a really good job, I guess, in a 1-game sample size. That they said that they prepared, I guess, in advance anyway, and it was more of his coaching staff preparing. But it's still not easy to prepare for a team, specifically a player like Trey Young, in that type of 36-hour span before game 1. You could say the same thing for Atlanta's side trying to prepare as well. But I just feel like he did a good job in game 1, and I don't see him sticking to the same exact playbook heading into tomorrow.
I think you did mention this a little bit earlier, but go into more detail on it from Marcus's question. Do you think Caleb didn't get any time last night because Spo rode the hot hand of Duncan, and if Duncan struggles, we would see Caleb instead? It was more of a Gabe Vincent issue than a Duncan issue.
Yeah, Duncan's staying as much as, and it's not because I'm saying this because of the 8 threes. Like if he was 2 of 7 from 3 last night, I'd be saying the same thing. They need a spacing. They just do until they hit something where these other guys are shooting out of their mind, like Caleb and Gabe, which could happen, but it's just not really sustainable. Duncan Robinson's not leaving the rotation for now, unless a certain matchup kind of presents that. But right now, it's between Gabe and Caleb, in my opinion. I don't think Depot's in that kind of time space at the moment. I think potentially next year. I know everybody wants to see all the Depot, but right now this team's rolling. Like they just went and blew out the Atlanta Hawks in game 1. Yeah, it's one game. Yeah, it's the Atlanta Hawks. But this team looked gelled together. Like you could just see it on the floor that there were not many issues with lineups. And it felt like in times the Oladipo was a lot of force feeding certain things. Caleb and Gabe are pretty equal in that way that they could fit in well. But right now they went with Gabe. It worked. And I guess until it doesn't work, I think they'll flip the switch and go with Caleb.
And I could feel the energy in the building, and you were there, and that was your first playoff game covered, right? What was that atmosphere? Obviously, you've been to a ton of regular season games, and then the way I could feel that, even watching from home, I could feel that crowd when Jimmy got into it with Trae Young a little bit. I'm like, okay, this place is coming alive. What was that all like?
I didn't think that was going to be the last time we saw that, to be honest. Like when we saw Trae and Jimmy going at it, I think it would have been more of that if Trae was actually competitive in that game. Like, there was no going at it with Trae and Jimmy when Trae is 1 of 12. It just is what it is, that it was not anything. Jimmy and Kyle, I think it was cool to see, speaking of the arena, the run in the second quarter was big in terms of kind of getting the arena into it. But just watching, there was different parts of Jimmy got an and one. He yelled down behind the goal, screaming, getting the crowd involved. There were plenty of times after a timeout was called, Kyle was kind of getting the fans up and getting them involved. And then when Miami made that run in the third quarter, Bam was the one just sitting in his defensive stance, getting the crowd involved. So I think it's just this team hasn't. I forgot the stat was, but I think they haven't won a home playoff game since 2016 in that building. Because
I heard Ethan say that last night. Yeah,
last year was they did not win a game. The bubble was obviously the bubble, and it was back in 2016, I think, against Kyle Lowry and the Raptors that they haven't won a game in there. So that's quite a bit of time, and I guess it's just it was a bit of a different experience for those guys.
So what are you thinking? Heat in 4 or Heat in 5? Is Atlanta going to get one?
I still am saying Heat in 5. Like, that's what I said at the beginning, and I'm going to stick to it because I still am. Trae Young's 1 of 12 doesn't change my mind on the fact that he is good enough to steal them a game. Like, it just is what it is. And I may be a little selfish because if it does go 5, I get to go to an extra game. So that might be selfish on my part to cover an extra game, but no, I just simply think it's going 5. Like, I think there's going to be games. They're not going to shoot below 30% from 3 every game. Like, their offense was number 2 all year for a reason. Miami's defense is really good, but it feels like they're going to get like game 3 or game 4. Most likely game 4. They probably steal one and Miami closes out in 5.
Well, let people know all the places they could find you because this is Brady Hawk season, right? I remember Kyle Lowry saying something about a month ago that, the real season is the playoffs. For Brady Hawk, it's the same thing because he's all over the place on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, 5 Reasons YouTube, all the podcast channels. Where can people find you for the rest of this week, Brady?
Yeah, at Brady Hawk 305 on Twitter. Brady's Breakdowns on Twitter and this 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel. And then obviously, as you mentioned, 5 on the floor pretty much every night. So that's pretty much it.
Best of luck to you, man. And game 2 is tomorrow night, right? They're not giving us a whole lot of rest here. So and you'll be back in the arena, correct?
Correct.
You brought Brady on to be the anti-mush for tomorrow.
Yeah, he is the anti-mush. And by the way, and I want to announce this, and I want Brady to be on the screen for this so he can vouch for my good luck here. And I know I saw Brooklyn Rob in the chat, so I know he's here. I did bet Heat -7 yesterday. They covered comfortably. So maybe I'm not a mush anymore, or maybe I'm only a mush in certain things. Maybe my powers don't actually work on the Miami Heat, but I locked in Heat -7, and I was kicking my feet up in the second quarter that we were going to get that cover.
That was it's hard to mush Eric Spoelstra in that defense when you're facing Trae Young after all the things we just discussed.
I was confused at first because Marcus called you Brad. I'm thinking, like, who's Brad? I enjoyed watching Brad. I was like,
I forgot the why. You forgot the why.
We snatched up by the Heat video department. So, well, you could be the next Eric Spoelstra. Like, do you want to be a coach someday, Brady? Because, like, Pat Riley started out as a video guy in Los Angeles. You know, he did play also, but, you know, coaching-wise, he started out as a video guy. Spoelstra was the video guy here. Brady Hawk is going to be the next video guy become head coach.
Whatever happens, happens, I guess. If they want to hit my line, I'm willing to talk.
I love it. Well, keep up the good work, man. Enjoy the rest of the playoffs.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
15 more dubs to go, my friends. And guys, you want to talk about dubs. We are getting dubs every single day by our awesome sponsors here on Donno Daily on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. The only thing that was missing from my weekend included Heat, Panthers, Marlins, Hurricanes spring games. So, yeah, the Canes won. Canes versus Canes. Even Inter Miami won over the weekend. It's like a lunar eclipse. That doesn't happen all the time, guys. I mentioned the Marlins. Listen closer, Hussam. I mentioned the Marlins. Everybody won. The only thing I was missing was I didn't go out to the quarter deck this weekend. Shame on me. But you know what? I'm going to be out there next weekend. You guys are going to be out there with us next weekend because we're going to be having a Miami Heat road playoff watch party for Game 4. That's going to be 6 days from now, this coming Sunday at 7 p.m. That's when the Heat are going to take the brooms out and they're going to sweep the Hawks this Sunday starting at 7 p.m. You can watch it with us at the Quarterdeck Davie location. If you want to find the location nearest to you, check out their website. They've also got their full menu on the site, which is awesome. I love that jerk chicken sandwich. I love the fresh seafood. I love the baby back ribs of the quarterback at the quarterdeck. Check them out online at quarterdeckrestaurants.com. Guys, they've got 2-for-1 happy hour all day, every day. 2-for-1 drinks are always flowing. I'm a 2-for-1 margarita man myself. Sometimes I go big with the Long Island iced teas as well. The beer is always cold at the quarterdeck. They got the TVs covering every wall. It's a great place to watch the playoffs. Got the basketball playoffs going on, the hockey playoffs starting soon, Major League Baseball. You can watch all the action at the quarterdeck. UFC pay-per-views for no cover charge, by the way. So make sure you check out their website, quarterdeckrestaurants.com, and check us out this coming Sunday at the Quarterdeck Davie. Come for the food, stay for the fun. Oh, and my friends, you know, I mentioned it. I want to bet. Yeah, Brooklyn Rob. Miami Heat -7. I was a big-time winner yesterday. You know who took my action and who always takes my action? And I love it, BetUS.com. BetUS.com, it's America's favorite sports book. Full online sports book, fully available in Florida. So what are you waiting for, my friends? Get on it. Props, parlays, money lines, spreads, live betting on all of it. The live betting technology is incredible. You don't just bet before the game starts. You can actually bet during the game, which is an absolute game changer. So make sure you sign up today. Guys, BetUS.com. They're America's favorite sports book. It's so easy to use the site. You get a customer service rep assigned to you. Their customer service is great. And we give you the best bonus in the industry. Sign up today at BetUS.com with our code 5RSN125. That's 5RSN125 for a 125% sign-up bonus. You deposit $100, they give you $125 in free play money on top of your deposit. How good is that? Bet on sports, play in their online casino. They've got blackjack for real money, table games, slot games, horses, pop culture props. Everything you can imagine is at your fingertips. It's like having Las Vegas in your pocket. BetUS.com with our code 5RSN125. You bet, you win, you get paid.
Got some breaking news, Donno.
What is I just saw you put this in the private chat. Hussam, what is the breaking news?
We got some breaking news, and we're talking football here right now, baby. The Cleveland Browns are signing Pro Bowl cornerback Denzel Ward to a 5-year, $100.5 million contract extension.
That's a lot of money.
That includes $71.25 million guaranteed.
Oh my gosh.
At age 24, Denzel Ward is the highest paid cornerback in NFL history. Now, Xavier Howard.
Does this mean he wants to negotiate? Is Xavier Howard going to want to negotiate again? Is that what's going to happen?
Here we go again. Here we go again, man.
Oh no. So, if I were Chris Greer, I'm turning off my phone for the rest of the day.
If I'm JC Jackson, I fire my agent. And if I'm Jair Alexander of the Green Bay Packers and AJ Terrell of the Falcons, I'm looking at the organization I play for and be like, you see that? I'm going to want more than that.
Wow.
That's how it's going to be. They are paying good players such ridiculous amounts of money.
Yeah.
It is insanity. It is insanity.
That is crazy. What are they going to do with and I was thinking the same thing, Brooklyn Rob. X is now going to want to do, just don't let X even see this, man. He's like, wait, Chris, I got to call up Chris Greer. It's they haven't done anything with Baker Mayfield yet, have they?
So there's apparently quote unquote
what's going on
talks. There's apparently quote unquote talks from what I'm hearing from my draft guys is that the reason why Baker Mayfield was not included in the Houston Texans trade for Deshaun Watson is that apparently Houston is looking for a quarterback. I don't really buy into that a lot. I also don't see Baker. I actually might see Baker get traded possibly during the draft for some picks, maybe to Seattle, maybe to another quarterback needy team that's in need of a veteran. I can't necessarily think off the top of my head right now. Maybe, maybe the Giants.
Wow. They do need a quarterback because, the one they've got, Danny Dimes, hot garbage.
Maybe the Giants could be possibly.
What about the USFL, who opened up their season this past week? Maybe we see Baker.
They started off with a friggin' bang.
I didn't watch any of it. It was like so this the US, and I saw a couple of people tweeting about it. I'm like, oh, USFL is going on tonight. That was a terrible night because you had playoffs going on in the NBA. I was watching UFC fights, and there was boxing on that night with Spence and Ugas. And it's Easter weekend. Like the last thing that was on my mind was USFL football.
Right, mine too. And Brooklyn Rob, today I actually had a coffee cake muffin. You missed it in the beginning of this stuff. So sorry, buddy, you couldn't see me inhale that shit either.
Oh, coffee cake is really good, by the way. Very underrated. I don't know. It's not always like on my mind. Like I got to get some coffee cake, but when I see it, like a coffee cake muffin,
just the little sprinkles and the sugary stuff at the top is like so yummy, right? It explodes in your freaking mouth. It's so good. It's so good. But still back on the topic of Baker Mayfield stuff, there is actually a pretty solid rumor coming out that the Carolina Panthers are interested in potentially trading for Baker Mayfield for a first-round pick. However, it may not be the only quarterback they're eyeing. Now, go ahead and open up my mock draft, which came out this morning at 9 a.m. I know you have it. Go ahead and open it up. Now, there's two choices there in the draft for the Carolina Panthers especially. There's quarterback Kenny Pickett, okay? I do think Malik Willis will be picked by Detroit. Maybe Houston, who knows? But I do think Detroit is pretty solid for Malik Willis. Now, the Panthers have two options. Well, technically three, but it's down to two options, if I'm being honest here, from what I'm hearing. Kenny Pickett from Pittsburgh and Matt Corral from Ole Miss, from Mississippi, basically. Now, as Donno, the old guy here, is trying to figure out his technology. There we go. There it is. There it is. Of course, number 1, I have Aiden Hutchinson to the Jaguars. Detroit takes Malik Willis. I see you can see the article right there, Tyler. Could the Miami Dolphins trade for Kyler Murray as well? Been a hot topic recently.
And but by the way, isn't your buddy getting dragged for writing about that? Listen,
yeah, Tyler's getting dragged for it.
And he's a young kid. Like, tell him, like, you got to let him know Tuanon is very aggressive, but they're mostly basement dwelling losers. So tell him not to worry about them. Okay.
He's fine, man. Don't worry about it. He's a tough kid. He's a tough kid. I have Kyle Hamilton going to the Jets, which may be a bit underrated. There's been a lot of talk about Sauce Gardner going there. Trayvon Walker has been a hot topic recently. He could sneak into the top 5. But if you take a look at pick number 6, which the Carolina Panthers pick.
Here we go.
I have them getting Matt Corral. Now, from what I know about Matt Rule, players don't really like him on that team.
Oh, really?
Doesn't necessarily make the best offensive choice either.
Uh-huh.
So knowing Matt Rule, what I'm hearing, from what I've been told, Kenny Pickett would be the most ideal choice, to be honest, because he's one of the more pro-ready quarterbacks.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Matt Corral has such a strong arm. And if you look back to Matt Rule's days at Temple and at Baylor, he had a strong arm quarterback leading his offense. Corral has that. He has one of the strongest arms in this year's class. Quick feet and pocket presence, unlike Sam Darnold, who always sees ghosts and cannot, play at an NFL level.
It's worse than Tua.
I would see the Carolina Panthers looking to get Matt Corral from Ole Miss if they're not able to get Baker Mayfield.
I like it. So they have options, is what you're saying.
Yeah, they have options.
Let's see if anything else jumps out at me here. Evan Neal, love him. He's a monster. Kayvon Thibodeau, like that. I know a couple folks who cover the Oregon Ducks. They can't stop talking about this guy. Sauce Gardner, I like it.
This actually really fits to Seattle because of what Pete Carroll's defense run. They run, again, primarily a cover 3 scheme. They want tall, lanky, athletic, physical corners like that Richard Sherman mold, and kind of fits that mold. Yeah. He's swaggy, bro. This dude is swaggy. Let me tell you that. That's why he's called Sauce. Listen, juice is temporary. Sauce is forever, man.
Is that a fact?
That is a fact.
Can you explain that scientifically? Because I don't know. They're both liquid based. I don't understand the difference.
So juice is like very watered down and stuff that can be evaporated. You're Italian, man. You should know sauce.
Of course I know sauce.
Thick. It's thick. It lasts. It's thick. Tasteful. You always remember it.
I like juice too.
I like juice too.
But you're right. You're right. So sauce, it's got more viscosity.
Yes.
Right.
You can feel the flavor profile. Like it's it's got substance, right?
It's
and
true.
You like that substance.
Okay.
You like what you taste and like what you see.
I like that. Well, let me go through. I got to run in a minute, so let me go through the rest of your top 10 here. Oh, New York Jets, Drake London from USC. I didn't watch a lot of him at USC. Would he make the Jets any better, or is Zach Wilson still a lost cause?
He'll make the Jets much better just because of his catch radius. He's 6'4", 210 pounds, big physical guy. Also a yak guy, can get a lot of separation. He's very good on screens, very good in bubbles as well, can take slants to the house, very, very fast as well. He is a big-time weapon that you would want for a strong-arm quarterback that can't necessarily hit you in the right place. That's why you get a guy like him who has a big catch radius and can catch anything.
I love it. By the way, Brooklyn Rob, you're wrong. This is a huge debate amongst the Italian American community, but it's definitely sauce. It's not like nobody outside of New Jersey calls red sauce gravy. It's not a thing. My father, born and raised in the old country, if you tell my father, who's an excellent cook, by the way, he makes excellent sauce. If you were to refer to my father's red sauce as gravy, he would give you the most confused, dumbfounded look. got the accent and everything.
Can you do it? Can you show it?
I can't actually. I'm not good with my father. Like I can do like the stereotypical like Southern Italian like mob. I can't do like my father's Northern Italian accent. I can only do the accent I do very well is Russian, and it also I can use Russian accent as Serbian, Ukraine, Slovenian. The accent works for a lot of different things, my friends. But no, I how about this?
What is you talking about?
Hey, forget about it. I can do the stereotypical one. And the hand movement thing is real. Everybody does that in Italy. It's a real thing. Like if you cut somebody off in traffic, sometimes you get the double. You get the double gesture. That is an absolute real thing. It's not Brooklyn, Rob. It's not. Nobody outside of New Jersey. I'm surprised even in Brooklyn you guys would say this. Nobody outside of Jersey calls it Sunday gravy. Like, okay, Tony Soprano called it gravy, but he doesn't speak for the peninsula, man. Oh,
did you watch the Batman?
I love it. Yeah. I watched it in theaters
this weekend with my cousin, bro.
It's so good, right, bro? What a show!
I didn't even realize.
Or what a movie, I should say.
The guy who played the Penguin was Colin Farrell.
I didn't know that. It's funny. It's funny you say that. So
I was like, I'd seen his face somewhere, but I couldn't put a name to it. When I saw the credits, I was like,
yeah, I had no clue. I had no clue that was Colin Farrell. Like I saw the movie, I don't know, month and a half ago in theaters with my wife. And it wasn't until, because I don't really look at the IMDb's. I only look at Rotten Tomatoes, because I only see movies with, they've got to be at least 70%, and it's got to have a higher critic score than audience score, because audiences are idiots. The critics know what's up. Okay. So I check Rotten Tomatoes before I see a movie. I don't bother with the IMDb to see who's in it. I just like to go in surprise. And after the movie was over, my wife says something to me, like, she's like, "Oh, can you believe how good Colin Farrell was as the Penguin?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? That wasn't Colin Farrell. Like, are you kidding me?" And then sure enough, it was Colin Farrell.
Oh man, Zoe Kravitz.
Oh man, yeah, she's looking good.
All I gotta say it.
Yeah. Hey, Mamma Mia, that is Zoe Kravitz. It's beautiful.
Yeah, there we go. Did you see the Thor: Love and Thunder teaser trailer?
No, I didn't. I'm tired of Marvel. It's just too much.
Dude, listen, let me tell you that the visuals were amazing, and they played that song. Oh my god, what's it called? It's not the Rain Man. Definitely not the Rain Man.
Okay.
What was it? Oh my god. What was it? Okay, like it.
Are you Googling it, or you want me to? Because the suspense is killing me. Oh.
You hear that?
Oh, it's Guns N' Roses.
Yes.
Sweet Child of Mine. How do you not know that?
Sweet Child of Mine. That's what it was. Sweet Child of Mine. Yes.
Love how Brooklyn Rob bringing it full circle. Just keep Duncan Robinson's name out of your mouth. Brooklyn, you showed up a little late, my friend. We did like a good 15 minutes on how good Duncan Robinson was game one. So we shall see.
Sweet Child of Mine in a Thor movie. Taika Waititi knows exactly what he's doing with this franchise. Let me tell you that now. Man. Ragnarok was actually really good. I liked it.
I didn't see it. I had already, and I think that not seeing Ragnarok, I don't know if was that something I needed to see before like the final Avengers movie, because I felt a little confused by certain characters, but it's just like, bro, they come out with a new Marvel movie, and now TV shows too, and my wife makes me watch all of them. They come out with a new movie and a new TV show every 2 weeks.
Who cares?
Goddamn much. It's too much, man.
Why?
I got a child. I have like 4 jobs. I don't have time to be watching a new show or a new Marvel movie every 2 weeks. At a certain point, I have to cut myself off. It's too much.
How many shows do you do, man, a day?
I mean, a day. Oh, like my own shows. If it's like a really slow day, 2. It'll just be like on a really slow day, because we do Locked On Canes every day, and Donno Daily most every day. Sometimes if I'm doing like a radio fill-in or something, if it's like an afternoon show, I don't do this show, but I do this show at least 4 days a week. So yeah, it's like a slow day. It's like 2 shows, and it's like I get my whole day is open. pretty much. And then I'll watch the Batman, but I'm not watching all these goddamn Marvel shows every freaking day. A new one comes out. I watched.
Actually, it should be on HBO Max today.
It is on today. That's what you reminded me of that when you said it. And no, because like recently, I feel like some of these Marvel shows just a waste of time. My wife and I recently watched. What was the guy who shoots the bows and arrows? The Hawkeye show. Complete until the final episode. Complete waste of time. Like it was like 10 episodes. I'm like, oh, these 10 hours of my life. The last episode was pretty good. Loki was pretty good.
Loki was awesome.
WandaVision and Loki were good.
Yes.
I thought Captain America or whatever the Falcon.
It was too dragged out.
It was just a complete waste of time. Complete waste of time.
Moon Knight has potential, but I don't know. I don't know about Moon Knight yet, but I am excited for the Miss Marvel show. It's about a show with she's basically a Pakistani teenager with
I heard about
Captain Marvel's superpowers.
Oh, see, I was a little bit confused about that because I'm like, wait, so there's a Miss Marvel and a Captain Marvel. Like, why are we doing that?
Because they're two separate superheroes, basically. If you've read the comics and if you were a comic nerd like me, you'd know, Donno.
When I was growing up, I had a large comic collection, and I even had like my my uncle, who was collecting comics like in the 1960s, donated his collection to me. I loved the DC comics. I used most of the Marvels as toilet paper. Like it was very old.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here.
I mean, I thought like, oh, these, and I got to give Disney some credit because when I was a little kid, like I had my uncle's old comics from the 60s, right? Like, oh man, I did like Spider-Man. Like Spider-Man was the one Marvel that I was really into. Okay. But I was mostly into Batman and Superman. But I can remember like looking through some of the Marvel comics, and I remember like seeing like I was so disappointed when I'm like going through the pile of my uncle's comics, and then I pull out like a Thor, and I'm like, this is completely uninteresting, this Thor. But I got to give the movies Disney some credit. Like they actually made Thor a pretty compelling character in the movie. Did not care for the comics whatsoever. Guardians of the Galaxy, complete throwaway comic series. And boy, I'm angering so many people with this rant. I know it. I know I'm angering people with this. So I want to encourage you to smash the like button, not the dislike button. Smash the like button.
Smash it for me, not for Donno.
Right. Smash it for Hussam. Smash it for Brady Hawk, who was with us earlier. If you're a Marvel comic fanboy, don't smash it for me because you probably hate me right now.
Smash it for me. Smash it for me.
Okay.
Did you watch the new Spider-Man though?
I did. That was pretty good, but it was good because not because of like what their current, because the Tom Holland's, it's not his fault. I think Tom Holland's a great actor. I don't like his version of Spider-Man and Peter Parker. I don't really like what they've done with the character to this point. I thought the two people who were the best in the movie, Willem Dafoe playing, the old school Green Goblin he was so good in the movie.
He was so good.
And man. Andrew Garfield was so good, and
he brought back that nostalgia, man.
And he had the kind of the opposite problem of Tom Holland, because like Andrew Garfield, really good Spider-Man, not very good.
Terrible
movies,
writing.
He was in it. Terrible writing, but he was so good in this movie, and it made me realize, like, wow, we've got a lemon as Spider-Man right now, because what they've done with the Tom Holland character is so dumb. I was hoping that they would swap universes. Like I was hoping this, we're going to keep Andrew Garfield. We're going to send Tom Holland over to the failed line of Spider-Man,
to the
lineages.
Sony universe.
I was hoping they would keep Andrew Garfield. He was so much better.
Now, I'm excited for the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness movie. That is going to be like a psychological thriller through like different multiverses. Like it'll be like, imagine you're on shrooms watching that movie now.
Oh, and I will be when it comes out.
Imagine if you did it on the first one. Now imagine the second one.
Oh my gosh.
That's going to be trippy.
That's going to be good. Well, that's enough for today. I want to throw out some shout outs here. Brooklyn Rob, he came in late, better late than never. Oh, how about this? Despite me trashing the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we still get a super chat. Marcus, thank you. So I hope maybe Marcus is a Batman fan. I love Batman. There have been some bad Batman movies. The Batman was not one of them. That was a great freaking movie. Thank you so much for the super chat, Marcus. Indeed, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much, Holland Mariah Grossman. Thank you so much for stopping in. And seems like she might have dipped out before the Marvel talk, which is probably good because I don't want people to hate me. Although, you know what? I don't really care. If you hate me,
Big John
Stud. Let's go Heat. Let's go Heat. Heat in 5, baby. Heat in 4. Brady Hawk said 5. Thank you so much for the super chat, Big John Stud. And should be on track for Wednesday to bring on Big John Stud, as long as he is able, of course. I will not force him to join the show, but I will ask him very nicely to join the show. Oh, this is our guy, Lewis from Scotland, son of Andy from Scotland. We're big in Scotland. The guy, at some point, I'm going to do a show in a kilt just so we can promote ourselves to the Scottish audience. Jack, thank you so much. Back to the Heat talk,
This show has gone so
4.
off track just because whenever I'm here, we talk about random shit.
Yeah. Well, you asked me if I'd seen the Batman, and you got us down this whole tangent of excellence. and listen, Jack, if you missed the first part of the show, I would recommend firing up the replay because we spent about the first 35 minutes at least on that Miami Heat win. Marcus, we got 2 different Marcuses. Thank you to both Marcuses. Different spelling, same level of awesomeness. John F. Kennedy, loved your work in the White House, sir. He says, yep, Donno saw Trae trying his best to get away from Tucker. 4+ PJ Tucker stood with him every step of the way.
Just word of advice, don't sit in a convertible.
Be careful in Dallas. Be careful in Dallas, Mr. Kennedy. Oh man, I'm so immature. Like if I see somebody's name,
listen, those Maverick fans do not like Heat fans at all, right?
That's a good point. That's a good point. Thank you so much, Devin, for the super chat. We love you, Shake Money. We love you, even though you're a Gators fan. You're still welcome on the show every day. Raziel the Great, thank you so much. Nice to see Miami still runs on Duncan. Well, Duncan and the other kind of Duncan, because Hussam Patel, he was enjoying that coffee cake. I'm thinking of superheroes, capes. Kryptonite, thank you so much. Championship Morris, too. Oh, man, yeah. We got Markeith Morris as well with the championship experience. Alejandro, thank you so much for tuning in. By the way, if I skip anybody doing the shout outs, it's not on purpose. Don't take it personally, please. We try. Welch, thank you so much. Bam, scammed. Keep fueling the fire. Ocean Pearl Motel. Where is your motel located? I'd love to stay.
It's in the ocean. Probably the Pacific.
Well, I don't know. If he's a big Heat fan, I'm thinking maybe it's in like Miami or Fort Lauderdale or something.
Could potentially be maybe a player's burner.
Okay. Well, if it's Duncan Robinson's burner, he finally enjoys the content of the show because he doesn't enjoy me too much very often. Heat in 5 and Tyler to get untracked. Let's see who else is in. Immortal Soul, thank you so much for tuning in. Girl in Heat, thank you so much. Duncan Robinson in 4, love that. Giannis, not Antetokounmpo. Giannis Barrientos says Heat in 3. Oh, we're turning the clock back to like 2000 when they still had the 5-game series to open up the playoffs.
Yeah. Wait,
Ian from Brooklyn. What's that?
That was a thing, a 5-game series.
It was a thing. Yeah, you're too young to remember that, but yeah, because I can remember it was either 2000 or 2001, which I think was around the last time that they had these. The Heat got swept by the Charlotte Hornets in 3 because they did 5-game first round series, and that was either the last year or one of the last couple of years they had those. They've been full 7 ever since. That was not a fun time.
Oh, some news on the APY for X and the Denzel Award, and this is coming straight from his agent.
You tell me X is already asking for more money? What do you got?
No. So here's the details.
Okay.
So the true annual dollars per year for Denzel Award is $16.67 million.
Okay.
Xavier's is $19 million a year.
All right, so we keep him happy here. But
and Ward's contract is a rolling contract, so his 5th year fully guaranteed option rolled in. So the new money he's getting is kind of like 20 million a year, and X is getting 25 million a year.
Okay. That's good to know. I can sleep good tonight. Brooklyn Rob says, who hates Donno more, Tua's trainer or Duncan's trainer? I still think Tua's trainer, but I don't know. I've never interacted with Duncan's trainer. I don't know if he hates me or not.
I tried to get Nick Hicks on my podcast, but I don't think he read my message.
He probably said, "Oh, that guy works with
Donno and Juan Cardona."
Yeah, he definitely hates Juan more than he hates me. There's not because I don't go out of my way to mess with him. It just sometimes it's kind of happened like accidentally, where just like I'll comment on one of the like the medicine ball videos, and then he like ends up coming after me. But like Juan goes out of his way, like Juan does. I don't even do it on purpose. Juan does it on purpose. Like he definitely hates Juan more than he hates me.
Speaking of trainers, tomorrow on the Scouting Combine on my podcast, good. I'm having the potential number 1 overall picks trainer on to talk about Aiden Hutchinson, edge rushers, and some of the prospects he trained. I think he might have also trained Jalen Phillips last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, nice.
If I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but tune in tomorrow at 5:30 p.m.
to the Scouting Combine. And make sure, guys, if I can plug something as well, every day I put out a new episode of Locked On Canes, daily Miami Hurricanes. You know, this time of year, football. I know the baseball team also, yes, it's all about the U, but we're still having some cool conversations about the spring game this past Friday. So make sure you subscribe to Locked On Canes. We update you guys every single day on that.
And man, the receivers.
Too many drops. Yeah, it's one of the, and it's like Tyler Van Dyke still looked good, even though the receivers didn't do him any favors.
So you're telling me he's the next Justin Herbert?
I mean, he's got the coach to be the next Justin Herbert, right? He's got the right coach for that. But no, I mean, I think it wasn't surprising to me because I was talking on that show for a couple weeks about how I know the receiver room, it looks really deep and talented on paper, but they lost their top 2 receivers from last year. Charleston Rambo is Miami's number 1 receiver, and he set single season records. Mike Harley, number 2 receiver, he set the career receptions record at Miami. Like, you don't just automatically replace these guys, right? And so we just need people like Jacoby George, Keyshawn Smith, Rashard Smith. Now, I think Xavier Restrepo, I'm not worried about that dude. He's going to eat. He's going to be a big-time third-down receiver. I like Miami's tight ends as well, and Will Mallory didn't play in the spring game, so they need more consistency at wide receiver.
Will Mallory is going to be a dude in the tight end draft class next season. Let me tell you that.
Yeah.
He's high up there in 2023 already.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we will talk to you guys again. Another episode of Donno Daily tomorrow. Same time, same place, 2 p.m. Now, tomorrow, I'm going to be wrapping up 2:59 because I got a Milan derby tomorrow. Coppa Italia. Inter versus AC Milan is going to be tomorrow at 3. So we're going to hit it 2, maybe a little bit earlier than 2, maybe like 1:55. 2:59 tomorrow. I am bouncing. So we will talk to you tomorrow at or a little bit before 2 o'clock right here on Donno Daily on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.